Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Fighting resumed today between Israel and Hezbollah after Israel launched dozens of strikes in southern Lebanon Sunday, which it described as a preemptive operation, saying it had averted a major attack planned by Hezbollah in retaliation for Israel's assassination of one of Hezbollah's top commanders last month. After Israel resumed strikes today, Hezbollah launched a barrage of hundreds of drones and rockets. The strikes escalate fears of a regional war. Here's White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
What I believe now is that it is incumbent on all parties in the region to work towards de-escalation and stability.
He also said they continue working towards a ceasefire in Gaza to de-escalate regional tensions. But those talks ended without a deal. They will continue at lower levels to find agreement. The sticking point is Israel's demand to keep its military in Gaza, which Hamas rejects. Meanwhile, Israel's defense ministry said in a statement today it's received the 500th delivery of U.S. military aid since Hamas's October 7th attack on the country. It says more than, quote, 50,000 tons of military equipment have been delivered to Israel via 500 flights and 107 sea shipments, unquote. It says it includes armored vehicles, munitions, ammunition, personal protection gear, and medical equipment. In Gaza, strikes continue in the southern city of Khan Yunis, which killed a family, including 5 children, after Israeli forces denied rescue workers access to help dig survivors out of the rubble. The United Nations says after 3 days, they were finally allowed to enter the area, but the family had succumbed to their wounds by then. Here's Deputy Humanitarian Coordinator Scott Anderson.
5 of those people were minors, between the ages of 4 and 6. So it's a lot of people that were innocent, just trying to find shelter from the conflict that lost their lives here. It's been 10 months of fighting now. There's been enough bloodshed, there's been enough loss of life on both sides of this conflict. Now more than ever, what Gaza needs is a ceasefire, a return of the hostages to their families.
Scott Anderson. Russia launched overnight strikes in Ukraine targeting infrastructure, including oil and gas, power, and water infrastructure. Ukraine says it has a new homegrown long-range weapon that will allow it to strike deep into Russia without asking permission from allies. Its range is up to 430 miles, on par with U.S.-supplied weapons, which Ukraine is restricted from launching into Russia for fear of escalation. In the U.S., Democratic presidential candidate Vice President Kamala Harris campaigns in the swing state of Georgia today. Biden won the state in 2020 by some 12,000 votes. Uncommitted Democrats opposed to the war in Gaza have requested Harris meet with them in the swing state of Michigan by September 15th after the Democratic Party denied a Palestinian speaker on stage at the convention in Chicago last week. The UK's Guardian is reporting the uncommitted movement within the Democratic Party began with 30 delegates at the convention, ended with 300 who agreed to become ceasefire delegates. Pacifica's Catherine Carley has more.
How can we have a ceasefire realized if we continue to provide the fire?
Layla Alabed with the uncommitted vote says Vice President Kamala Harris could lose Democratic votes in key states like Michigan by endorsing continued support for Israel's war in Gaza. While Harris has repeatedly called for a ceasefire, she says she won't support an arms embargo. Pro-Palestinian activists met with Harris prior to last week's convention but were denied a speaking slot. Congresswoman Summer Lee of Pennsylvania tells CBS that while Democrats remain focused on defeating former President Donald Trump, the war's critics can't be ignored.
We can do that, and we can also give space, create space for people, voices that are marginalized. We missed an opportunity to do that here.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration has again sent officials to push for a hostages for ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. The White House says it's urgent to prevent escalation. I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump campaigns in the swing state of Michigan today. His running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, says Trump would veto a national abortion ban if elected, which received pushback by some Democrats. Catherine Carley reports.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance says the campaign's public position is that the matter should be up to the states.
If California wants to have a different abortion policy from Ohio, then Ohio has to respect California and California has to respect Ohio.
Trump has repeatedly touted his role in overturning Roe v. Wade, but has more recently said his administration will be great for women and their reproductive rights. Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren says she's not buying it. She points to a letter Vance sent the Justice Department last year calling for enforcement of the 19th century Comstock Act, which would ban the mailing of abortion-related drugs.
I don't mean with, exceptions for rape or incest or a 16-week ban. I mean ban it for every woman anytime she needs it.
I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has dropped out of the presidential race and endorsed Donald Trump. The federal Justice Department in 8 states, including California, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Washington, have filed suit against a software company used by landlords to drive up rental prices. The lawsuit charges the company RealPage uses artificial intelligence algorithms to stifle competition in the rental market, harming millions of tenants nationwide. It was filed Friday. Eileen Alfandary has more.
Attorney General Merrick Garland underlined the complaint of tenants around the country as he announced the antitrust lawsuit against the real estate software company RealPage.
Everybody knows the rent is too damn high, and we allege this is one of the reasons why. When companies, and in this case landlords, use a software tool to facilitate cooperation with respect to rents, they violate the antitrust.
The lawsuit accuses RealPage of violating antitrust laws through its algorithm that property owners use to get recommended rental prices for the units they own. Justice Department officials say the algorithm allows landlords to align their prices and avoid competition that could help keep rents down. In a statement, RealPage said the Justice Department's claims were devoid of merit and will do nothing to make housing more affordable. Oregon Democratic Senator Ron Wyden and Vermont's Peter Welch have proposed legislation entitled Preventing the Algorithmic Facilitation of Rental Housing Cartels Act. It would crack down on companies like RealPage that help landlords collude to set prices via software and price-setting algorithms. I'm Eileen Alfandary.
The founder of the social media app Telegram has been arrested in Europe, FSN's Ross Cullen reports.
The 39-year-old French-Russian citizen was detained as part of a French investigation into alleged offences including fraud, drug trafficking and cyberbullying. Telegram's end-to-end encryption privacy settings have seen the platform widely used by pro-democracy movements in countries like Russia, Belarus and Venezuela, but the app's also said to have hosted child sexual exploitation material and content promoting terrorism. Ross Cullen, Paris.
And today marks Women's Equality Day, commemorating the certification of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, granting women the right to vote 104 years ago. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.